Alan's just gone in the other room to blow his nose. If you listen carefully, you might just hear it. There you go. Did you hear it?
Hi, I'm Allan.
And I'm Russell.
And this is Popculture Pontification.
The show where it's really, really, really hot.
You might recall, like, about 5 episodes ago when we were like, man, it's pretty hot in here. No. That was
how naive we were.
We had yet to learn the true meaning of heat, even as two people who grew up in Australia.
This is the 5th consecutive day over 40 degrees.
Is it the 5th? I thought it was the 4th.
Which is the first time that's happened in Perth since 1933.
You've clearly done your research on this.
I saw a news article thing.
Okay, yes, it is fucking hot.
Yeah.
It is. It's ridiculous. And we're in my tiny apartment where I have no air conditioning.
No.
And all the windows and doors are shut, and the fan is off.
Yeah.
And we're sitting...
In service of sound quality.
In service of sound quality, yes. All extraneous, miscellaneous stuff in my house is turned off.
Yeah.
Except for the computer that is generating heat. So, yes, it's fucking hot. And in the terms of heat and the dealings with it, both you and I have been playing a fun little interactive game on Steam.
Interactive game?
Well, are all games interactive, Russell?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's true. You got me there. Give me a break.
This game is less interactive than most.
That's true. Give me a break, Russell. My brain isn't really working in these temperatures. Called Firewatch.
Yeah.
Now, I think a lot more about this than I do. Because I just picked it up because I saw a guy on YouTube start playing it. So I was like, oh, that looks like fun. And it cost like $10, so I bought it and I started playing it. So I think you know more about the backstory of it. So why don't you take the lead on this one?
Yeah, I've been following it for a while because I'm a long-time listener to the Idle Thumbs podcast and other shows on that network. And the Idle Thumbs podcast is hosted by, he hasn't been on for a while, but Sean Vanneman and Jake Rodkin, who are ex-Telltale game developers. They worked on the first Walking Dead game.
Yes, I did know that this was based off of the same guys who did the Walking Dead game,
Yeah.
So I made every choice in the game very carefully.
Yeah, Delilah will remember that.
Yes.
Nils Anderson, who was the lead designer on Mark of the Ninja. I don't know if you ever played that.
I haven't heard of that yet, no.
Yeah, he hosts another podcast about Netrunner on the Idle Thumbs network.
I didn't realise that Idle Thumbs was like a network.
Yeah, they have loads of shows.
Okay. I thought it was just the Idle Thumbs podcast and that was it.
That's like their flagship show.
Okay.
But they have a bunch of other ones.
It's like the Maximum Fun network.
Yeah.
Have you heard of them?
Well, yeah, I listen to
yes, of course you do. The McElroys, they're all on the Maximum Fun network.
And they're always advertising Judge John Hodgman, start podcasting yourself.
Which is one of my favourite podcasts, stop podcasting yourself.
Anyway, back to the topic at hand.
Yes.
These three guys, amongst some others, founded a studio called Campo Santo, and their first game is Firewatch.
It does sound like all they're making is, like, Mexican food.
Yes.
Come on down to Campo Santos.
Yeah.
Do you like burritos? We got them.
I'm not sure where they're from in America.
Maybe they're from, like, New Mexico or something.
Yeah, somewhere down south. Maybe. They might have just liked the name.
Yeah. It's pretty catchy.
I imagine one of them, at least, must be from Wyoming, given that this game is set in...
a nature reserve.
Yeah. Is
National
it
Park.
Yellowstone National Park?
It's near Yellowstone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not in... I've played more of the game than you, so I think
you're further along than I.
Yes. It just got released today, so...
I don't think we can get too much into the details without spoiling the game.
But it's basically... This is stuff you'd pick up in the first 5 minutes of the game. You're a guy who is working in a Firewatch station in a national park.
Yes.
You're just basically living in a tower, keeping an eye out for fires during the summer season.
Yeah.
That's all you do.
Yeah. Your name's Henry, and you pick up Henry's adventure on his first day.
Yes.
At the lookout.
Mm-hmm. And all he's got to communicate with is a little two-way radio. I'm assuming it's a two-way radio. A little handheld radio.
Yeah.
And Delilah, who is his boss, who lives in, like, I'm assuming it's like the central Firewatch tower.
Yeah, it's
stuff like that.
at least as far as I've explored, it's the only other fire tower that you can see. She has the lights on at night, so you always know that she's watching in a somewhat creepy fashion.
Yeah, and it's just about stuff that happens there. We won't go into too much more detail than that, I think. Because a lot of it is, if you say anything, it's going to be spoilers about what happens in the game. And it did just get released.
Yeah.
Well, by the time this is released, 4 days ago.
Well,
It got released 4 days ago.
Or like a week.
Or like, yeah, it depends when we feel like releasing this.
We can talk about the art style, which is...
Very good.
Yeah.
It's
stylized, heavily... like
It reminds me a little bit of Team Fortress 2.
in that sort of cartoony
In
way.
like when you well, it's one of the great games in which if you look directly down with a camera, you see your body instead of just like a round shadow on the ground, which is tradition.
Yeah.
And you can see your hands and stuff like that, and they very much reminded me of like the heavy's hands, you know, like big, thick, meaty paws.
So maybe Henry is buffer than I thought.
Maybe, or he's just a big fella.
Like a schlub, but
well, he's got a picture. You can see a picture of him, yeah.
I haven't done that yet.
Like,
I was in a hurry. I was playing before work.
There's a picture on his desk in the tower.
Yeah.
That's of him and someone else.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So there you go. There's not much more we can say other than that. It's on Steam, I believe. I'm not sure where else it's been released other than Steam.
Steam and PlayStation 4.
Yes, PlayStation 4. I remember that. Yeah. Are you playing on Steam or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
I'm playing on Steam, so we've got a good bit.
I have
cover all the
heard,
bases here.
I have heard that the PlayStation version has performance issues that don't happen on the PC version.
Well, it's about 1,000,000 degrees at the moment, so I don't think my PC is running at maximum efficiency. But it's not exactly graphically heavy, I guess. I wouldn't call it like that. It's not like lots of explosions going on, lens flares and all that sort of nonsense.
No, and it's built in Unity, which is not the most powerful
That's true.
engine.
I did experience some lag issues, like a bit of chugging, but I'm assuming that was just because of the heat, not the game itself.
Yeah. Anyway, technical quibbles aside,
It's very well written.
Very engaging.
It is, yeah. I didn't think I'd have that much fun with it, but then I just sat down and played for like 2 hours, and the only reason why I stopped playing is that you were coming over, and I'd yet to watch the Force review, so I had to get watching that. But yeah, it's very engaging, considering like the limitations they've imposed upon themselves via storytelling.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
One thing that I have noticed, and I can talk about because it's not a spoiler because it doesn't happen, but every time I have to like mantle up some rocks, the camera looking up at the edge of the rocks, you can't see what's beyond it, and I constantly think that I'm going to get over there and somebody's going to kick me in the face and I'm going to fall down.
I think that's like your first person shooter Twitch nerves coming into play.
I think it might be because I started playing Until Dawn again, which is that horror game I talked about in episode 2 or whatever.
Okay, yep.
And there's so many jump scares. You open the door, blah! You go around the corner, blah! And yeah.
Well, I haven't experienced that climbing over a ledge yet.
Okay.
Though,
right.
So, yes.
You let your guard down, they'll get you.
That's how they get you, yeah. The voice acting is very good.
Yeah, well, there's only really 2 voices, at least, that I've heard so far. There's Henry and Delilah. Yeah. Perhaps there are other characters later on, but...
Yeah, but they've got a great dialogue that goes back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine the 2 voice actors were doing it together.
Maybe. Not necessarily, though.
No?
Quite a lot of, like, the best voice acting people, the 2 actors never meet, you know? Stuff like that, so... It all depends upon who's coaching them and what to say and how to say it, I guess. But it's very flirtatious between the 2 characters. You know, it's a lot of sass back and forth.
I think it can be. I think it depends on what choices you make.
Classic, these sort of game styles, though, you get a list of options to reply with.
Yeah.
And then there's like a time limit. And, you know, if you don't say anything, that still counts as an answer.
Yeah.
So... I've yet to let it time run out on anything, but there are a couple of ellipses that I've chosen instead of saying anything else.
You say some pretty offensive stuff.
I think it's all taken in good fun, though. You know, one of the very early periods in the game, you have to climb down, you know, this scree, which is like this loose rock face.
Yeah.
And you're like talking to Delilah on the phone. And you're like, what the hell is this shit? I gotta climb down this fucking nonsense? And she's like, it's not even on, like, the topographical map or whatever. So he's like, oh, that means I get to name it. And then you get to pick a name. It's like, you picked, I forget what one you picked was.
I picked Widowmaker.
And
there was also Cripple Gulch.
Cripple Gulch, and then the third one, which was My Boss is a Bitch and is Trying to Kill Me.
Yeah.
Which is the one that I picked.
Yeah.
And you got a map that you look at to navigate around this place. And whatever you pick to name it, he writes on the map. Yeah. So I've got, like, the bitch who tried to kill me. My boss is a bitch who tried to kill me on my map and stuff like that. So the dialogue's a lot of fun.
Yes. Anyway, I don't think we should say anything more because...
I think we're getting real close to spoiler territory here, yeah.
And finding this stuff out and hearing these conversations is really, like, the point of the game.
Well, I, like I said, found it via watching some guy on YouTube do a Let's Play of it. And I watched the first episode, and then I was like... Sorry, had like another one. It was released. He got an early edition, so it was all stripped down. But I was like, oh well, I want to play this now. So I just haven't watched the second episode that he released. Yeah. So, and if you have like a spare, what was it, like $10 or something? I can't remember.
I think PlayStation 1 was $20-something.
I think you paid a bit more than the Steam Early Access one.
Yeah, maybe.
I got the pre-order. I bought it ahead of time. I don't know if you count that as a pre-order when I just bought a digital copy before it was released.
I did get a hella sweet PlayStation theme though.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that on Reddit today. Yeah. Where it's like depending on the time of day, it's a different background image. Yeah.
Sunset background and a nighttime background.
It's pretty.
It's really cool.
Yeah. What else you got? What else do you want to talk about, Russell?
Well, I just watched the first episode of a Netflix show called The Last Kingdom, which is based on a series of books by Bernard Cornwell. I haven't read these books, but I have read quite a lot of his Sharps Rifles series. Okay. Why are you giving me that look?
I don't know. Bernard Cornwell, was it?
Bernard Cornwell.
Bernard Cornwell. Sounds like some sort of ancient historian who writes about like Mesopotamia or something like that.
Oh, he's written some history books, but mostly he writes historical fiction. And this is... It seems like it's really going to scratch that Vikings itch.
Oh, okay. It does sound super, like, Jesus-y. It's like The Last Kingdom, Jerusalem.
No. The Last Kingdom is Wessex.
Oh, okay.
Because the Danes are coming over.
Ah, okay.
Including Ragnar Lothbrok from Vikings.
Okay.
Not
it's like a crossover, no?
Not the same actor, but the same
character.
Historical or, mythical figure.
Okay. If you say so.
What?
I don't know enough about the Vikings TV series to have an opinion on it.
Well, the main character is Ragnar Lothbrok, who is a historical / semi-mythical Viking.
So, like Eric the Red, basically.
You mean the guy from that?
He's a real
Tim
Viking.
Robbins,
there was
maybe?
a real Viking called Eric the Red.
Okay, right.
Unless I'm going to look that up as I'm editing this podcast and find out that I was wrong again.
Yeah.
That guy didn't exist at all, but I'm pretty sure he did.
Anyway, this is sort of told from the other side.
I was like, oh no, these fucking Vikings are coming out and wreck our shit.
It's told from the point of view of a Saxon prince who starts as a boy, and his father's lands get attacked by Vikings, and the army gets destroyed, and he gets taken as a slave by the Vikings. Eventually, the tables turn on the Vikings, and
the boy kidnapped them.
No. the Vikings, who the boy he's now grown up and has grown quite attached to them as a sort of like surrogate family, given that his family's all been killed.
It's basically Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. They then get killed by this boy's family's rivals from the Saxon side. And...
Yeah, go on. This just sounds like it's going to get really complicated really quick.
It is. You're giving me this dead-eyed look, so I don't know how further to continue.
It's just like... This Danish prince was kidnapped by these Vikings.
And
the Saxon prince got kidnapped by these Vikings. And then, he grew to love them.
Yeah.
But then his family rivals killed the Vikings.
This is like the first, 2/3 of the first episode.
It sounds like they're desperately trying to be Game of Thrones here.
This is a Game of Thronesy vibe. So far, it's quite enjoyable. It's violent and, all that good stuff.
How many boobs have you seen watching this?
Actually, no boobs.
Not Game of Thrones at all.
Well, there was a sex scene, but both people were mostly clothed. I think the implication was that it was very cold because it was nighttime and they're in the middle of the forest, so,
It's the perfect time to get down to Bone Town, yeah.
Plus, they don't seem to be shying away from like the hairiness and general uncleanliness of people at this time.
Oh, okay. So like the women aren't like all shaved and clean.
Yeah,
like,
they don't look like modern supermodels or whatever.
It's like the hair keeps me warm.
Yeah. So I'm kind of looking forward to watching the rest of that. Season 3 of Vikings, which is already out in regular TV world, but it's going to be released on Netflix pretty soon. So this will fill in the gap for me until that comes back on.
Speaking of things being released, my pet peeve is that in Australia we don't get shit until quite late. We never get a hold of anything until it's been out in like the States for weeks or months or so on and so forth.
Well, sometimes you get something fast tracked, and it's only like 2 weeks behind everywhere else in the world.
And occasionally, very occasionally, we get stuff before anywhere else in the world does.
Generally movies.
Yeah. But one of my guilty pleasures, one of my favorite like animated...
Starting all that shit and then laughing at River about
No. My guilty pleasure... Well, yes, but not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
My guilty pleasure movie-wise, animated movies-wise, is I love the Kung Fu Panda movie series.
I haven't seen the second one.
Have you seen the second one?
I really enjoyed the first one.
The first one, I feel, is better. But
it has Ian McShane as a badass Kung Fu tiger.
It does, yeah. And he's like a snow leopard, by the way.
Is he? Whatever.
The bad guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the second movie about him?
No. He dies in the end of the first one.
You reminded me of the like terrible ending to that film.
That's a great ending. What are you talking about? The whooshy finger hold. Yeah. It's great. Shut up. But Kung Fu Panda 3 is currently out in America. It's out and released. And you want to take a guess as to when we'll get it here in Australia?
Tomorrow.
No. Like the end of March.
Oh, wow.
It's been out like a week in America.
You think we've got it bad. Japan has movie release dates like 6 months behind.
Why is that, by the way?
I have no idea.
But is it just like the translation? They got to translate it, or
if they like these companies have millions upon millions of dollars. If they wanted to get it out sooner, I'm sure they could get a faster translator.
Do you think it's like a way for them to delay income? Because
well,
surely,
tax purposes.
for tax purposes, or like
maybe
like somebody will be like, this movie's made barely its money back. Oh, we'll wait 6 months. We haven't released it in Japan yet. Oh, okay, 6 months. Boom, another huge like bunch of money comes in from the movie.
Maybe.
Yeah, or something like that.
On the topic of... Sorry, I'm jumping around. On the topic of Kung Fu Panda 3, I heard that apparently it's forecast to make more money in China than Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Apparently,
that wouldn't surprise me.
Chinese people love Kung Fu Panda.
Or maybe they just love pandas.
Well, yeah, and Kung Fu.
Kung Fu. That wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. It'd be a lot easier to dub Kung Fu Panda.
Well, it would be.
So it'd be easier to like localize, I suppose. And I don't think they really give a shit about Star Wars the way the rest of the world does.
I'm kind of, I'm surprised that Star Wars didn't do better there.
I'm not really. I don't think historically any of the... Well, back in like the fucking 80s or 90s or wherever like the first Star Wars movie came out, they would not have gotten a release in Japan.
In China?
In China.
Maybe not. I don't know.
They wouldn't have had that...
History.
Or even if they did, it wouldn't have had the same like insane sort of popularity it would have had over here and in America. So why would they have like... They probably wouldn't have that nostalgia craze that a lot of the popularity of The Force Awakens got.
I suppose not. But they love, like, Fast and the Furious.
Maybe that's a bit easier to understand than the mythology of Star Wars.
I don't know, they got some pretty complicated mythology in Fast and
the Furious. Do they?
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
They're like relationship web of all these different characters.
Oh, well, that's different.
Yeah.
That's not like fucking midichlorians and shit like that.
I'm pretty sure midichlorians have been written out of Star Wars. I don't think you will ever hear midichlorian mentioned.
I don't know if they've been written out, like they never existed. They're part of the official canon now. I don't think they just get mentioned a lot.
No, but I think they will
explain
that everybody who knew about midichlorians has been killed.
They'll never mention it yet. But I think it's still there.
Yeah.
I have been watching something called Superstore. Have you heard of this? Superstore, yes.
No.
It is somewhat reminiscent of like Parks and Recreation sort of style of humor. Not like the mockumentary style, just like the brand of humor that it does. It's about this like a Walmart type of store called Cloud9, and it's about the misadventures of the people in it and all that sort of stuff. And there's like a zany set of characters. Like there's a stupid teenage girl who's pregnant and her white gangster rapper boyfriend and stuff like that, / fiance. Mm-hmm. And I was like, do you remember the chick who played Ugly Betty? Like she's from fucking Venezuela or something. Do you remember the show Ugly Betty?
Not really.
Okay, well there was a woman in there. She's one of the main characters in this, you know, and she's like the floor manager, and she's like the witty one, the clever.
Is she ugly?
No, she's not. I think whatever. Don't think that's really pertinent, Russell.
Right.
And there's like this black guy who's in a wheelchair who's like super sassy. Mm-hmm. Then there's like this Asian guy who's gay.
These are all employees?
These are all employees in the store. And it's all about like just day-to-day life in the store. And like the guy who runs the store is like super religious, Jesus-y, is the best, you know, all that sort of stuff. Really like pushover guy, so the rest of the employees get away with murder and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Anyway, it's pretty fun. It's a comedy, obviously. Yeah. It's got one of the main actors from Laser Team, the movie.
Now I see your link to it.
Yes, my link to it, yeah. So, yeah, he's the black guy.
Right.
Yeah, and it's pretty good. It's pretty funny, you know. And, like, there'll be, in between scenes, they'll, like, cut away to, like, what a customer in the store will be doing. Mm. So you'll just see, like, some guy like grabbing stuff and shoving it down his pants and then like walking out with like a fucking lamp down his pants and stuff like that. It's like weird cutaway stuff.
Yeah.
And we don't really have any stores like that here.
Well, we got like Target.
Well, yeah, but I don't think like we have like people of Walmart, you know, sort of style that we have over in America here and stuff like that. But it's sort of like a good comedy slice of life sort of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Future reference. Mm-hmm. Have you seen Army of Darkness?
Oh, a long time ago. I don't think I've seen all of them.
Right. No, neither have I.
Have you seen... Are you talking about, like, the Evil Dead series? Or specifically Army of Darkness?
I'm specifically talking about Army of Darkness.
Oh, okay. God, maybe. I can't remember.
It's the one where he goes back in time to the Middle Ages.
I think I've seen, like, half of it.
Oh, my God. Can
like,
that
I know
be a false review?
I know... Well, it's a movie I want to watch. Do you really want to waste it on something I want to watch?
Maybe not.
I have it. I know that for sure.
It's a brilliant movie.
It is good. I have not seen all of the Evil Dead. I can tell you that for sure. The only other thing I've got... Well, I'd say the only other thing I've got going on, I've got like a fucking list a mile long here, is Mob Psycho 100, which will mean nothing to you, but it is a manga that I haven't read, but it is written by the same guy, who writes One Punch Man.
Sorry, is the guy's name One?
That's like his online tag, I think.
Oh, okay.
You know, he calls himself One.
Right.
O-N-E. Or maybe it's not One, maybe it's Oni. I don't know. Haven't really looked into it that deeply. But he writes two main mangas. And he writes One Punch Man and draws it. And he writes a thing called Mob Psycho 100. And both very popular. Obviously One Punch Man, slightly more popular because it got an animated series first.
Yeah.
But Mob Psycho 100, possibly piggybacking off of the back of One Punch Man's popularity, is getting its own anime release. Yeah. So there you go.
Do you know anything about it?
I know next to nothing about it, Russell. Let me have a look here.
I just want to know, is it funny?
It's a comedy,
Similar lines to One Punch Man?
I got like a brief synopsis here. The main character is an 8th grader with psychic abilities. He could bend spoons and lift objects with his mind from a young age, but he slowly began to withhold from using his abilities in public due to negative attention he kept receiving. Now the only thing he wants is to become friends with a girl in his class, with his psychic mentor who has no psychic powers. He continues his daily life attempting to realize his purpose. Yeah. So there you go. Okay, so I haven't read the manga. I know next to nothing about this beyond the synopsis I just read you. Mm-hmm. But based on the comedy and popularity and the love I have for One Punch Man, I'll probably be giving it a look, and we'll probably hear about it later when it gets released.
Excellent. I look forward to it. Mm-hmm. Do you know when that is?
Nope.
Short time away? Long time away?
I think it's in the works now. There's a trailer out for it, so that probably has some sort of relevance to how far away it is. Mm-hmm. So probably not too long. We'll
link that in the show notes?
Yeah, we'll link it in the show notes.
Okay, cool.
So we're recording today on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because you're busy tomorrow on Thursday, which is when we usually record.
Yeah.
Which is annoying because tomorrow morning I'm going to go watch Deadpool. So I would have Deadpool to talk about right now. But I do not because you've forced me out of sorts.
Well, I'm going to watch it on Friday, so we can both talk about it next week.
That's true. If it's good enough for us to talk about, we may even do a spoiler cast about it. Maybe. Probably not.
I have very low expectations of this movie.
It's an R-rated movie, which is what it should be for Deadpool.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Deadpool? Have you read any Deadpool
I know
comics?
he's a jackass.
He is a bit of a dick, yeah, but that's like his charm. Like in the same way that Wolverine's a dick, you know?
Yeah.
But, so you look
I'm
forward...
reserving judgment, but I think it's going to be very stupid, and I'm going to be rolling my eyes constantly.
I just think of it this way. It can't possibly be worse than the most recent Fantastic Four movie.
Or the Wolverine movie that had Deadpool in it.
Yeah. Well, that had Deadpool quotation marks in it, you know?
He could shoot lasers out of his mouth or
Shoot
whatever.
lasers out of his eyes. Was it his eyes? His eyes, yeah. Because he was an amalgamation of various mutants.
Yeah.
So stupid. God, don't get me started on that. But I don't have that to talk about. But I do have a anime that is not new. It's been out for quite a while, called Space Battleship Yamato. Now, do you know anything about the actual battleship Yamato? That was a real battleship in like World War II, I think.
I know the name. Isn't that the name of the battle cruisers in StarCraft?
Possibly.
I feel like it is.
That was like the ones with the big Russian guys who were piloting it in StarCraft. They'd be like, "Oh, at your command."
Potentially, yeah.
maybe it's a reference. Well, the Yamato, I haven't done a huge amount of research on this, was like an infamously unsinkable Japanese battleship.
Yeah.
In some war, quotation marks, I don't know which. And the anime that was made in like the 60s of Space Battleship Yamato got a remake a few years ago called Space Battleship Yamato 2199. And I never got around to watching the first one, but I just recently picked up the new one. And I've just been watching it. And the only reason why I'm bringing it up at all is that I know that it was a real battleship, and this is clearly just fan fiction of that battleship in space and stuff like that. Because there's a lot of like references to like Earth being Japan and it's being bombed by the enemy so that it's unlivable. You know, the surface is all destroyed and all that sort of stuff.
The enemy is the United States.
The enemies is basically the United States.
Right.
You know, in all the various references. And I don't know a huge amount about World War II or whatever war this was in. But it does look like a lot of it is references to the aliens, the bad guys being us, basically. You know, the battleship doing its best and destroying bases and bad guys and all that sort of stuff. And it just feels like it was very heavily referencing the White Devil, you know?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So it's kind of removing from my experience of enjoying it.
It's kind of, it must be hard to watch from the other side.
Mm.
Are the enemies like very pale and have big
They
round
are,
eyes?
like, the official bad guys are just different skin coloured. Like, very tall individuals and stuff like that.
They're called GIs.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I can't remember what they're called, to be honest. But it's had the same sort of effect on me as watching Ip Man 3 in the theatres.
Oh, right.
In which that a lot of it seems to be anti-white people.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm still going to watch it, you know. I'm not as obviously as something that was written in like the 60s or 70s. So obviously it was very topical at the time.
Were you talking about Battleship Yamato?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure Ip Man 3 was only written like last year.
Yes, no. Battleship Yamato was an old manga that got turned into an old anime and then got redone into this new one. And there's like live action movies and you know animated movies. Yeah, it's pretty popular stuff. So yeah, that's something that I've been watching and feeling guilty about watching.
Well,
you got some factoids on us?
The real Battleship Yamato was sunk by American torpedo bombers on the 7th of April 1945.
Oh, there you go.
Just before the end of World War II.
So obviously it was in service during World War II.
Yes.
And the only reason why I know...
Against the hated Americans.
Against the hated allies, yes. I also read on Reddit, which caught my eye because I was watching the series, that there was this American fighter pilot who was doing like attack runs on the Yamato.
Right.
But he ran out of bullets and like bombs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he popped the canopy open and just started throwing stuff out of his cabin at the battleship.
Against the battleship.
Yeah. So like he'd do a flyby and like throw a Coke bottle at the fucking command tower and stuff like that.
Was he not concerned about getting shot?
I don't know what the circumstances around it were, but I enjoyed the mental picture of it. So
Apple cores and
because
empty
you damn
cigarette packets. If he had any honor, he would have gone kamikaze.
I mean, he was American though, so I don't think that really would have crossed his mind.
Honor.
He's honorless, white scum.
I've started reading The Martian for our book club.
Our book club. Now, yesterday I sent you away with a task to come back with 2 names for this segment. Lay them on me. What are they? What have you come up with? That was your homework. I did, yeah.
I did not think about that at all.
I have a recording of it, Russell. Not only that, but you listened to that recording yourself. You get nothing.
My suggestion is book club.
Well, that's one. What's the second one?
Cook blub.
I like that. Cook blub. Yep.
Because we're cooking about, like, whaling.
Yeah, we're cooking blubber.
Yeah.
And the blubber is the words on the page, and we're cooking them with our eyes in our minds.
To present this dish of discussion to you.
Delicious discussion dish.
Yeah. See, it totally works.
There you go.
Yeah.
It took us a little bit to get there, but we got there. Now, ironically, about 2 hours before this podcast started...
While you were, like, knee-deep in either Firewatch or Blue Ruin.
Yes. My girlfriend dropped off the book depository order of The Martian to my house. So I read absolutely none of it.
Well, that's all right. We don't have to talk about it for another few podcasts.
But you've been reading it. You've read it. How much have you read?
I don't know the page number because I'm reading it on Kindle. So I think I've read about 6%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've got the book here, so let's have a look at what about 6% would be. You'd be happy with that, calling that 6%?
Yeah.
So it's about 30 pages or so?
Yeah.
That sounds about right. That sounds reasonable.
So it starts, and I won't get into spoilers because hopefully our listeners will be reading the book as well.
Hopefully.
But it starts, and everybody knows from the movie trailer basically what's going on.
She gets fucked.
Yeah, the author has been stranded on Mars because there was a big Mars storm, which is a thing, and everybody evacuated, but he was left for dead because
they thought he was dead because stuff happened.
His vital signs were reading 0,
etc., etc.,
and they had to flee for their lives. And the radio is down, so there's no way that anybody could know that he is still alive.
Yep.
And so he has to invent ways to stay alive until the next mission arrives, which is meant to be in like 4 years.
4 years or so, yeah.
And he only has like...
a year, less than a year's worth of food, I think.
Yeah, and he has a limited amount of oxygen and a limited amount of water, which can be replenished by the advanced machines
that allow
at the base.
them to live on Mars, yeah.
Yeah, but if any of those break down, he's
fucked. Yeah.
Just dead.
And
help is hundreds of millions of miles away.
He's a biologist, if memory serves.
He is a mechanical engineer and a botanist.
Botanist, not biologist. That's what I'm thinking of, yes.
But so far, he's displayed the skills of just about every scientific field.
I think he's a very clever individual.
Yeah.
Is what they come across as. The guy who actually wrote this, Andy Weir,
is a huge nerd.
Is a huge nerd, yeah.
Yeah.
He actually created his own astral sort of navigational software to like plot out orbits and stuff like that, so that this could be like as accurate as he could make it.
So yes, he's a huge nerd.
A huge nerd. Yeah. Now, all I've got to go on is the movie. Because I haven't started reading this. And the stuff
don't tell me what happens.
Oh, I can tell you how it ends, Russell.
No,
do you want me to tell you how it ends?
Maybe the book's different.
Maybe. I think the book goes into a lot more detail on, like, the background stuff. Like, quite often he'll be like, no, I got to solve this problem. And then in the book, it'll go through in detail on how he solves the problem.
Yeah.
I think they skip over a lot of that stuff in the movie because it would have been him sitting down writing out math and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of it is him doing like complicated sums and then working out like how much land he needs to cultivate to grow enough crops to survive.
Now, in the movie, all that was done in a montage.
Yeah.
Of, what's his name? Matt Damon. Of Matt Damon, like, just doing it.
Yeah.
And you just saw him do it. And then it was done.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yeah, I think you understand watching the movie that he has thought about it and decided
he's done a lot of
this
stuff,
is what
yeah.
he needs to do.
But I do look forward to starting to read it. I am only just started another book, so I'm quite happy to put that down and pick this up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I am a bit more of a voracious reader than you. Or I have more free time. Probably a bit of both. So odds are I'll be caught up with you next week and we can have a bit more of an in-depth discussion about it.
Well, we want to leave most of the discussion till the end.
Well, yes, but we
give
can have a chat
latecomers a
about
chance
it.
to catch up.
It's true. The only other thing I'm very excited to report about, Russell, is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle board game that has been released. Released is not the word I want to use. It's being kickstarted.
The exact opposite of being
The
released.
almost the exact opposite of been released.
Probably arrive in 2019.
Yes. Now, it is called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shadows of the Past board game. Yeah, so it's pretty exciting.
Is it like Turtles in Time, the greatest SNES game of all?
Maybe, I don't know. Is being produced by IDW Games, if that means anything to you.
Independent dog watchers?
Yep. No, you nailed it. Yeah. That's in their mission statement.
Yeah.
We'll watch dogs, but never for public payment.
Yeah.
It's just between you and me. They asked for $25,000 for this game on the Kickstarter.
That doesn't seem like very much.
It does not seem like very much.
TMNT is a big license.
It's true. I think it's all going. It's like the people who own it are making it. You know, so they're not like need to license it out.
I didn't mean like it would be an expensive license to get. I just mean like it's a big property.
Franchise.
People will be interested in it.
Well,
so
funny.
25,000 seems way lower.
Funny you say that, Russell. It is currently at $422,000.
Sounds about right.
Yes. So I got in at just over funded, you know. So I got in about 300,000 or so.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether they do these things on purpose, whether they lowball it and then they set the goals. Like Kickstarter does these goals levels. So like if you reach a certain amount, then something else gets unlocked. Stretch goals. That's the word I'm looking for. Now, it makes me very excited because every time I wake up, I check my phone and we've beat the next 2 levels. It means we get more cool stuff for the amount that I put into it. But I often think that they never were going to release the crappy basic game that they started off so much. It was like, this is what you get for the money we've, Kickstarted it for.
Yeah.
And we've gotten twice the amount of money. Here's a much fancier, more exciting board game that gets released. So I don't think, even if it was just they barely made it, which they never were just going to barely make it, I think it would have just been through other funding, we've got this far fancier version to release. So I don't know. What do you reckon? Is it do you think that's something that companies do?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like Shenmue, which I know I've talked about on the podcast before. But Shenmue 3, the Kickstarter was for $2 million. When Shenmue 2 cost $68 million to make. So obviously they weren't kickstarting it in order to fund the game. It was...
I suppose video games are a bit different though, because nobody was ever under the impression that all of their funding was going to come from Kickstarter or whatever, GoFundMe or whatever the fuck Shenmue went through.
Yeah.
I think these smaller projects are a bit different. Just a board game doesn't require the same level of work as a video game.
No, but for a major, I don't know this IDW, but if they're a significant game publisher, then they probably wouldn't bother for a $25,000
investment.
Game. Yeah, in order to create all the components and get the designers in and the artists and everything. It's probably just too much hassle to make $25,000.
For whether it's them playing the system or not, and they have all It's like a hero pack, which has like Casey Jones in it and all his like an extra character you bring in to the board game and stuff like that. Whether they were ever just gonna like sell them all regular style anyway, it still makes me quite excited as a person who's a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan.
Oh yeah,
I get to like wake up in the morning. It's like, ooh, Splinter's been unlocked. Yeah,
awesome.
We get the mouses now and stuff like that. You know. So yeah, but it looks pretty interesting. There's a lot of figurines. So as the person in this room who gets some level of enjoyment out of painting figurines, I'm probably going to have a lot of work for you when I get this board game.
Well, assuming I ever get to the end of my Imperial Assault miniatures, I'll...
yes, your birthday present from...
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I just got my Pledge Manager email. This is a thrilling topic of conversation. I just got
Pledge Manager email? What the hell is that?
From... Well, when Kickstarters are wildly successful and have to deal with thousands of customers, they often hire a pledge managing company.
Oh, you mean someone to like say, all right, where do all of you live? How do we ship all this stuff? Yeah, fair enough.
And I just got mine for Secret Hitler. And I forget what the initial goal was. It was low. It was like 50 euro, 100,000 or something in that vicinity.
This sounds like, what, a card game or something?
It's a hidden identities game, kind of like Werewolf or Mafia or The Resistance or games.
But is it a board game or a video game?
It's a board game.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was looking for.
But I don't know that it has a board.
Okay.
So.
That's why I said
it's a
card
party game.
I said card game.
Yeah.
All right. It's why you're fighting me on this.
It's just what we do.
It's true.
But they ended up making $2.something million.
Jeez, that's a lot.
Yeah. So they originally were going to get it out early this year, but...
Absolutely not going to happen. No.
It's like I'm thinking second half of the year, probably.
It's like if they'd kickstarted... what the hell?
Cards Against Humanity.
Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if they'd kickstarted Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
You know.
Which is wildly popular.
Which is insanely popular. And would have been insanely popular when it got kickstarted as well, you know. People would still be struggling to get a copy of through the Kickstarter.
It was interesting with Cards Against Humanity. It seemed to be like it was this underground thing and nobody could get a copy of it.
Well, it was this thing, I know a little bit about it, is that initially they released it...
It was originally print and play.
It was originally print and play, which a lot of popular card game based sort of things is some dude just going, oh, this seems like a good idea.
Yeah.
He puts it out there, it becomes popular enough that some company wants to manufacture it, and then that guy makes like a couple $1 million or something like that. It was originally print and play. And then, for some reason, they couldn't ship it out of America. Because it started off in America. And then, for some reason, they couldn't import it into other countries.
Oh, okay.
At least, couldn't import it into Australia. I know that for sure. At which point, it became, like, the thing to have.
Yeah.
Because nobody could have it. You know?
Tulips in Holland in the past.
The fuck are you talking about?
Never mind.
No, go on. I know Holland is popular for having a lot of tulips. But
no, it was just this, like, craze in, like, the 17th century or something like that.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
For rare tulips. And
okay.
Tulips became worth more than diamonds or gold or anything.
Seriously?
Yeah, like rare tulips. Like the Duke of whatever tulip that you can only get from this one place. And then overnight it just crashed. And nobody wanted tulips.
The bottom really fell out of the tulip market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a famous economic lesson.
Okay.
And
don't get too excited over flowers.
No. Beanie Babies in the
Beanie
1990s.
Babies, there's always like something that goes fucking
it's like, oh, it's rare.
Crazy.
People want it.
Yeah.
And we can sell it for like 5 times the retail price. Let's just buy hundreds of them. And then suddenly, oh, wait, no.
No, now they're worth
Beanie Babies.
nothing.
We have hundreds of Beanie Babies.
We
don't want them, and nobody else wants them.
It's a real life explanation of supply and demand, isn't it? Like, you know, if you... Oh, well, I don't even know if it's supply and demand. If you tell somebody they can't have something, that's all they want, is that thing. You know? And if you, as a company, can somehow manufacture that mentality of, well, here's this thing, some people have it, you're not allowed it though. Be like, well, now that's the only thing that I want. Give me $5,000, I will give you for that. Yeah.
I feel like Cards Against Humanity had that.
That's such a weird way of saying humanity.
Yeah,
you're like Cards Against Humanity. I'm going to really enjoy listening to that when I'm editing the podcast.
Yeah. I feel that they had a similar...
They managed to generate it?
It was like bananas popular and everybody loved it. Everybody was playing it. And then suddenly overnight, it like hit the mainstream. And nobody cared about it anymore.
It happens basically every year with, like, somehow there's, like, a mob mentality where everybody decides that's the toy for that Christmas, you know? Like, it was, Tickle Me Elmo back in the day?
Yeah.
It was impossible to get a Tickle Me Elmo back in the day, you know?
But I feel like we, as adult geeks, should be above Tickle Me Elmo type
mentality, shenanigans.
But I guess not.
No, it's just human nature, you know? If you go like, oh, look at this. This is pretty shiny.
Yeah.
It's mine, though. You know, of course, it's like, it's the mentality of, I gotta have it.
Yeah.
It's like a collector thing. Like, I don't really have it. It's like, I've never gotten caught up in a craze of, I can't have it, gotta have it, why, collect them all. That sort of stuff.
Weren't you a comic book fan?
Well, yeah, but I never was part of the craze of, I had to collect every issue, you know, like that. But you get the people who are like have to collect rare comic books, so they have them all and stuff like that, and they're worth millions because it was the first one released and stuff like that. And it's just never really. I'm not a collector sort of guy, you know. Like there's some people out there who collect like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff like that, and they gotta have them all, or they collect fucking amiibos because there was like a shortage of them, everybody's gotta have them and stuff like that. And it's just never really clicked with me. I've never really become that level of obsessed about something. It's usually like, oh, I can't have it because it's not available here. All right. I just won't have that thing, you know?
That's right, Tim. We sneer at your amiibo collection.
And yeah, some of our friends have been caught up in these various crazes where they gotta have them all and stuff like that. Have you ever been hit by anything like that?
I'm sure I have, but I can't think of when or what it was.
Even when I was a kid, like, nothing really sort of made me go crazy that I had to collect it all and that sort of stuff.
I remember the first time I got into Magic cards was in, like, grade 9.
That's a slippery slope.
No, grade 8. And I was getting, like, $2 a week pocket money or something.
It's about standard for back in those days.
It had just been my birthday, and I got some birthday money. And then I gave my friend $70 for some Magic cards.
Were they worth $70?
Well, they were to, like, the general market.
Okay.
Because we looked up the prices at some store or whatever.
Back before you could look them up online.
Yeah. And then, like, 1 week later, I had total buyer's regret. Because these are, like, rare and powerful cards. This is $70.
It's like,
more money than I would have for the rest of the year.
It does. I do think about that sometimes when I, like, buy 4 books online for, like, $70. I'm like, as a kid, I would have killed for that money. Yeah. That's $70 that I just spent with no consequence or no conscience about it.
When you buy like a $35, $40 dinner or whatever.
Yeah. It was like, what? $40?
Yeah.
I could buy like so much McDonald's back when I was 10 years old.
It's like 10,000 tropical fish.
What? 10,000 tropical fish?
Tropical fish is a kind of sweet.
Oh, okay. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Jelly covered in sugar.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, you haven't lived.
Oh, okay. I grew up in the country though, Russell. Give me a break. Alright, well I think we've talked enough bollocks.
Just a quick note
Yep.
on the ongoing weight loss challenge.
Oh, yes.
I think I've lost about 15 kilos of sweat.
Oh, jeez. Russell, I had like a fucking heart attack there when you're like, I think I've lost about 15 kilos. Man, I'm never going to win this.
So I think we should weigh in right now. Because I'm going to have to drink some water later.
It's like you... Quite often when we're recording, even if I'm just talking, you'll like lean back and put your arms above your head.
Yeah.
It's just a relaxing thing, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
And whenever you do that, it's just nothing but massive pit stains. And just like around my neck, I'm pretty sure I could wring my shirt out and get like 2 liters of water out of me.
Yeah.
Like we have glasses of water that we drink while we're sitting here. And I'm pretty sure I'm still net negative of liquid in my body. I don't think I can drink enough to contain the level of moisture that's escaping me.
No.
It's ridiculous.
Your sweaty beard drips like a watering can.
Yes. Yep. I can't remember the next line, so I can't help it. There's a lyric from...
the next line is
you should sleep with
a bearded man.
You should have sex with a bearded man. Yeah. A song by the Beards, an Australian musician group.
Band,
that's the word I'm looking for. Musician group.
Who are retiring this year.
Who are retiring. I don't know. Are we going to go see them when they're here?
Well, I'm in America when they're in Perth.
Oh, are you really? How
then they're coming back to play a date down in Bunbury after I'm back. But
no, we're not. We could road trip it.
We could.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Let's just get this fucking over with.
Yeah. Let's
go.
Force a review.
Let's go do a Forza review. Force review is a segment we do in which one of us forces...
Everybody friggin' knows what Force review is.
I'm going to explain it every week, Russell, just in case we get new listeners. Forced review is a segment in which week about we force the other person to review something that they haven't seen and we have. And last week, Russell gave me the movie Blue Ruin. Russell, do you want to tell us a little bit about Blue Ruin?
Sure, Blue Ruin is an indie movie that came out a couple of years ago.
I could never have told that it was an indie movie.
It's actually funded, at least partially, through Kickstarter.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. And it is a revenge story, which is one of Hollywood's favourite kind of movies.
Would you call it a genre at this point, revenge movie?
I guess it's a subgenre of action.
I suppose so, yeah.
It's like the man with nothing to lose going out to get revenge for his dead family.
I think it got famous via that Liam Neeson.
Taken is one of the top
revenge movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Wick.
Actually,
I think it would be
John Wick. Actually,
you really should. I think it would make a good double with Blue Ruin. If you
Maybe.
watch John Wick and then immediately after watch Blue Ruin.
You think in that order?
Yeah.
I think if you do it the other way around, it'll be a real upward slope, action and excitement wise.
No, I think
the other way to be vastly downhill.
Well, we haven't got into discussing Blue Ruin yet, but I feel like if you watch that first, when you see John Wick murdering all these people, you'd think, yeah, but what's the point, John? What are you really solving?
What are you getting out of this?
Yeah.
All right. Do you know who directed it? Who's the star's name is, or anything like that? They're all underground indie people.
I'm pretty sure the only credits on their
Joe Blog.
Yeah, the only credits on their resumes would be Blue Ruin.
Blue Ruin.
So just look up Blue Ruin's IMDb page if you're
Fair
curious
enough.
who these people are. Although they do an excellent job, in my opinion.
While I am explaining the plot of it, I want you to look up the tagline, because I feel like that's something we have to do every time. And we've yet to run across a good tagline. Anyway, so Blue Ruin is, as Russell mentioned, a revenge movie. It is based around this... I can't really give much away. One of the best things about it, I feel, is that it's very real. It's like how a normal person would react to finding out that someone who did something horrible to their family has been released from prison, and he's got nothing left to lose.
Yeah.
It's all based around this guy who's homeless, who finds out that the person who killed his father has been released from prison. And then he goes and does very naughty things to that person. And then it's all about the consequences of his actions and the futility of revenge and all that sort of stuff. And that was the main thing I took away from this, was how real it was portrayed, how a person would react to just a normal person reacting to these bad things.
Yeah.
It's like how crappily a normal person would handle all of this stuff.
As opposed to a cold-blooded super assassin.
Yeah, compared to a John Wick or a
Arnold
Schwarzenegger or a Liam Neeson, where it's just I've been shot. It's fine, don't worry about it. I got some dudes to shoot. Whereas this guy gets an arrow in the leg and nearly dies.
Yeah. As he probably would. He tries to take it out by himself, nearly vomits and passes out, and then goes and passes out at a hospital because he can't handle it himself. That was one of my favourite scenes, by the way. Yeah.
Was he's got this arrow in his leg that somebody shot him with, and he hacksaws it off. And then he puts a jumper around his waist and goes to a chemist and gets pliers and alcohol, and is this whole scene where he's getting thread and needles and alcohol and bandages and all this sort of stuff, and pliers and rubbing alcohol and various painkillers and all that sort of stuff.
But he's not a field medic or a doctor.
No, he's just a guy. Some dude,
He's probably watched House or something.
Yeah, he's really a nobody.
Yeah.
He's barely got a personality in the movie. And he goes and pays for it with money that he stole from a guy who he hit with his car, who was one of the bad guys. And then he's looks so queasy and greasy, because obviously he's going into shock because he got a bloody arrow in his leg. And then you just it's a scene of him attempting to pry this broad-headed fucking arrow out of his leg, nearly vomiting and passing out, and then going to the hospital, and like falling over in the entranceway because he just couldn't handle it, you know. And that's, I feel like, a real takeaway from this.
Yeah, that's the main thing I liked about the movie, is that it took a very realistic.
Yeah, I suppose that's what I'm trying to get
to.
to. It's a realistic depiction of how a person would handle this sort of situation, i.e., extremely poorly.
The tagline.
Show me. Lay it on me.
He sits, he stays, he shoots, he scores.
Once again, a terrible tagline.
Actually, that's the tagline for Air Bud.
The weird thing is I didn't question you.
No.
It's like, that, you know, that sort of fits to what happens.
No, the tagline for Blue Ruin is Revenge Comes Home.
Again...
It's simple, not that exciting.
Yeah, again, not a good tagline.
Yeah.
I don't think a good tagline exists.
No.
There's not really much to say about this movie that isn't spoilers. You know? It's just some guy who takes revenge on someone who's wronged his family, and then it's about the cycle of revenge, I guess.
Yeah.
And how nobody really wins in the end. And it doesn't really give much away, plot-wise. Like, you get about halfway into the movie before you find out what exactly caused him to go kill this guy.
Yeah.
And then it's like 3/4 of the way through the movie before you realize what actually happened, you know? And then all, like, the big action-style stuff happens with about 5 bullets in the last 10 minutes of the movie, you know?
One thing I liked about it was, like, at the start of the movie, this guy is living in his car.
A crappy
a
car.
piece of shit bomb.
Pontiac, I believe
it's parked at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And he lives by picking food out of bins.
And his only source of income is, like, picking up empty bottles on the beach and, like, cashing them in.
And so he thinks he's got nothing to lose. But fairly soon in the movie, he realizes that he still does have something to lose. And then he becomes, like, terrified of anything happening to
all the
that.
consequences of his actions, And all the
he
stuff
thinks,
that
like,
happens.
I'll just go and kill this guy, and then I will have satisfied my need for revenge, and it'll all be over. Everything will be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be like at the end of the movie.
Be a 10-minute movie, yeah.
But no. Things get much worse from there.
Spiral out of control vastly quickly.
Yeah.
Again, he doesn't even really have a personality as a character. You know, he's just like this homeless guy who's not used to talking to people anymore, and he just sort of is a lump throughout the movie. He's like, oh, this is bad that this has happened. What do I do now? I don't know. No, I'm fucked. Having said all that, I did quite enjoy watching it, even if it was only because it was so unusual of a movie compared to, like, what I was expecting out of a revenge movie.
Well, you know, I like my slightly unusual movies.
You are a musical hipster, and I'm beginning to feel that that is slipping over into movie hipster as well.
I love all kinds of movies, except shit ones.
I like all the movies that I like.
Yeah, basically.
But yeah, I don't really have much more to say about it. There's not a whole lot there, plot-wise, to discuss. The filmography is pretty generic, which is, think I what they shot for, is for it to not be, like, exceptional, crazy camera angles and all that sort of stuff.
I've got to make a stand here.
Okay. Okay. Are you still watching that YouTube video series that tells you about various...
No, I ran out of those.
Okay, fair.
But what you're looking for is cinematography.
That's the word I'm
The
looking for.
filmography is, like, the list of movies that somebody's been in.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. That's on me.
Yeah.
The cinematography is fairly generic. For people at home, I did shake my head back and forth and put quotation marks around cinematography there.
Yeah. Using correct words for what I mean.
Vernacular.
To say. Yeah.
I'd recommend people watching it, though, even if it's just for the experience of watching it.
If you've been intrigued by that discussion.
This lackluster stance of had over it. It didn't really evoke any sort of strong emotions out of me.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like I was like, oh yeah, this is a cool movie. Or at the same time, I'm not like, It was pretty shit.
Well, the thing, what made me, what put me onto it for your first review was Joe Abercrombie's books.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the themes in his older books especially, but also in the Shattered Sea trilogy,
yes.
which you've read, is the, like, futility of
revenge
and violence, and how
it never
just
really
leads
solved
to
anything.
more violence further down the line. Yeah, and how even if you think you're doing something good,
you might just be making the problem worse.
Yeah, and often it just hurts a bunch of other people.
There's a lot of unforeseen consequences, I think, is what you're trying to get at.
Yeah, which I like.
Yeah.
I know, I like things to be a bit complicated and messy. Not all, like, tied up in a neat bow. Sometimes I like the neat bow. Like at the end of Commando, and Arnie's, like, walking down the beach with the chick and his daughter.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, how about you come back and work for me, Matrix? And he says, no chance. And then flies off in a seaplane. It was a perfect ending.
You're a fucking idiot.
What do you rate this out of 10, Alan?
Are you not going to do, like, how many generic main characters I really rate this out of 10 or anything like that? You're just going to ask me out of 10?
Yeah.
That's fair. I think that fits the movie, generic-wise.
Whoa.
It's not interesting enough to get a specialized numbering system.
They made this movie for under $500,000.
That's pretty impressive, actually, for me. Is at no point was I watching this going, this is, like, crappily made or anything like that. What would I rate this out of 10? I would give this a solid 7.
7, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go a solid 2.
I was contemplating saying 6, but every time I say 6, you're like, whoa, that's barely a 5. It's barely above 5.
I would have taken a 6 based on your previous discussion.
Alright, well then it's a 6.
No, too late, you said 7.
Okay. Is this like game show style? You gotta take my first answer?
Yeah.
Fair enough. I feel like we have been all over the map recording this podcast, Russell, because...
Mostly in the tropics.
Yes.
And, arid regions.
Did you know that Australia was, like, classified as the hottest city on Earth?
What Perth was?
Yeah.
What, for the last week?
Last week.
Yeah, it doesn't
hottest city on fucking Earth,
it's been
Russell.
really fucking hot.
It's really fucking hot. Anyway. It's
probably hotter in, like, Marble Bar or somewhere like that, but nobody lives there, so who cares?
Yes. It was probably hotter in the middle of the fucking Sahara, but nobody lives there, so it doesn't count. In the strain of sort of odd, sort of avant-garde sort of movies, which I feel like Blue Ruin sort of slightly fell into the niche of. Mm-hmm. Next week, I'm going to force you to review a movie called Moon, which I have brought up here, if it's still up.
You don't mean Transformers Dark Side of the Moon, do you?
Shockingly enough, I do not.
I really don't want to watch that again.
Again?
Yeah.
You bothered once?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to tell you much about it, other than that it's set on the moon, and it stars...
Is it about a guy who gets left behind on a moon mission and has no radio to...
Yeah, no, you nailed it. It's the precursor to The Martian. It's called The Moon. No, it's got Sam Rockwell is the main character, if you know who he is.
Nope.
Okay. And Kevin Spacey.
I love Kevin Spacey.
There you go. He's a voice in this, not a character.
I was watching LA Confidential during the last week. I didn't discuss it because it's really old and I've watched it loads of times. But my girlfriend hadn't seen it before, and she kept on asking, who's that guy? Who's that guy? What do I know him from? Talking about Kevin Spacey. I kept on listing things, and she couldn't pick what it was.
He's been in a lot.
Yeah, but he's been around for ages in lots of stuff.
He's like one of the most private guys in Hollywood.
Is he?
Yeah, like nobody knows anything about his private life. Anyway, the guy on the far right is Sam Rockwell. Maybe the face will show you what he looks like. You remember him from anything?
He looks like Christian Bale.
Yeah, well, in that picture he does. Sam Rockwell is known for... He's known for Moon, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. None of these are ringing any bells, no?
I saw Hitchhiker's Guide, but I don't even remember Martin Freeman and Alan Rickman.
He was Zaphod Beeblebrox. He was the president of space.
I don't remember that at
Alright, well, fuck you, Russell. I've tried to help you out here. Look him up yourself.
Too bad. This will be the first appearance of Sam Rockwell in my memories.
Even though you've seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But yes, Moon, I believe it's called, not The Moon. is your forced review.
Very well.
Yes. Well, as we have been recording for about an hour and 10 minutes, and it is 1,000 degrees in here.
Yeah. An hour and 10 minutes, or 7 years in sweat years.
Yes. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can contact us at popculturepon@gmail.com to let us know how weird this episode was, and the fact that we sort of did nothing but complain about the heat and our level of moisture. Or if you have something that you think would be good for us to force the other person to review, you can email us there as well. You can also go to our website, weekly, on which Russell uploads the blog post for each episode containing funny links and based on last week's one, basically just using it as personal soapbox to try and prove me wrong.
Yeah, basically. That's what the people want. They want you to be wrong.
Yes, you can go there at popculturepon.weebly.com. Yes, I still have trouble separating the email address and the website address in my head.
You can also catch us on Facebook, if that's your deal. Facebook.com/popculturepon. And if you're a Twitter spam bot, you can tweet at us at popculturepon.
Have we gotten hit by a couple of spam bots? Okay. I basically, recently, we're on YouTube as well. And so we're releasing episodes on YouTube concurrently as we are releasing them elsewhere.
Which I will link on the blog post because we can't get a snappy little link yet.
That's true, yes. Because you need 100 subscribers and we have 5.
Yeah.
So that's fine. And 2 of them are you and me.
Yeah.
And so I was uploading all the videos and I didn't realize that I was just spamming our Twitter feed because I had the tick box from promote this on Twitter whenever I was uploading a video to the YouTube. So it's like all our links to the videos that we've uploaded are on there as well. So
that's good.
There you go. Anyway, so if you've enjoyed this sweaty rendition of Popculture Pontification, come back next week and enjoy another one.
Can I just...
I said that back to front, and I kind of regret it. But yeah, move on.
Before we go, maybe I should save this for next week. But Duncan Jones, the director of Moon, is also the director of the Warcraft movie.
I was really hoping you were going to say he was actually also the director for Blue Ruin.
That would be amazing.
A great link, between the two.
We'd have to re-record the whole bit, so it seemed like you meant it.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, so if you've enjoyed this, come on back next week for another episode of Popculture Pontification. And that is how I was supposed to say it.
No, I go with the first one.
But it was so awkward. I hated it.
It's good.
Because it's like shows me as a real person who can make mistakes.
Yeah. As opposed to the infallible
godlike being who sits across from you.
Photographic memory.
Photographic memory.